What's going on, everyone? It is Super Cafe back again with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Paper Mario Sticker Star. Yes, so we're going to be covering the E3 2010 promotional video of Paper Mario for the Nintendo 3DS, which then became Paper Mario Sticker Star, which released November 11th, 2012, and then December 6th, 7th, and 8th everywhere else in the world, also in 2012, of course. Now, before I start this video, I want to preface one thing. I'm not going to be bashing Paper Mario Sticker Star in any shape or form. That horse is already dead. People have already bashed this game a lot, so that's not what we're going to be doing here. And what I actually want to do is compare and contrast the video from 2010 to the final version of the game that we actually did end up getting in 2012. One thing that I also really want to nerd out about before we actually start, diving into the video and everything like that, is that I hope one day that there's a 3DS out there that actually has like a build of this game on there. Because anybody who doesn't know, E3 2010 actually happened from June 14th to the 17th. So there is a very real possibility that this build of Paper Mario, before it became Paper Mario Sticker Star, this Paper Mario build from E3 2010 was actually made in 2009. It kind of happened like in the middle of the year, and games take a long time to develop. So there's a very real chance that like this thing was made in 2009. Just think about that. A 3DS game made in 2009, which also happened to be Paper Mario. But I'm getting too far into things. Let's hop on into the trailer. As you can see here on the very first frame, like I said, we're going to be literally analyzing everything. It says here, Paper Mario trademark preview. If you look at a couple of trailers when Paper Mario Sticker Star was coming out before it actually had a name, it just said Paper Mario working title or something like that. As you can see here, like I said, it says Paper Mario preview from 2010 Nintendo, and of course, it's still being developed by Intelligent Systems, but still published by Nintendo. As you can see here, we have Mario walking into frame all by himself. As for most Paper Mario games, Mario always starts off by himself before he gets a partner. So before anybody starts jumping to a conclusion thinking like Nintendo is going to get rid of partners immediately, just wait later on until we watch a little bit more of the trailer. As you can see here, Mario's in a kind of like grassy forest type area compared to what we got in Sticker Star, with it just being a normal grassland like area. I think I like this one a little bit more than what we actually got in the final game. Another thing to note is that this game looks more so like your traditional Paper Mario game, like what we got with Paper Mario 64 and the Thousand Year Door, and a little bit of Super 2. There wasn't a real focus on the entire environment, as you can see here, being paper. Paper Mario Sticker Star, everything is about paper and crafting. The world is made out of cardboard. Everything is relating to crafts. That's why we have the scissors items and stuff like that, which ended up being a mainstay in later Paper Mario games and is a thing that a lot of original Paper Mario fans don't really like about the newer games. Now, me myself personally, I actually like the direction that Paper Mario Sticker Star went with when it comes to the environment being completely out of paper, since it was the first game to do it. So I think it was very original, and it was a new take on, the Paper Mario world and the series. I actually like the richer colors that we got in this trailer from 2010, and I also do like what we got in Paper Mario Sticker Star for the final build of the game, where everything's a little bit more bright and there's like a lot of colors, popping in your face and stuff like that. But I think this right here too also looks good. If we also take a look at the blocks here in the trailer, they also look very different from what we got in the final game. In the final game, they're more so sharper looking in my opinion, and also the shade of brown that we got is a lot darker too. These ones seem to have outlines of gold, and then, Mario's of course breaking the blocks as usual. Nothing much more to dissect right there. It's Mario breaking blocks. What more can you really ask for? Also, the music too, we can also compare as well. The music that we actually did end up getting in this trailer versus what we actually did end up getting in the final game. moving on inside the trailer, this is the part where everybody was like, oh my gosh, why in the world did we not get this? We have a world or level or room that seems to be made entirely centered around playing cards for the most part, which I think is very, very neat. All the little incisions throughout the cards, you can see Mario when he's walking behind the cards and stuff like that, and then you can even see Mario poking his head through it too. It's just a really nice and cute detail too. We also get our first look of the Goombas in this game, but we actually did have screenshots of those before, so this isn't entirely new. The look for the Goombas is reminiscent of what we got in the first 3 games before Paper Mario Sticker Star ended up changing it to look like more of the modern designs. Another critique of modern Paper Mario is that they ended up going with the more modern designs instead of sticking to the variations that they had in Paper Mario. This level looks amazing. I love the contrast with blue and the pinkish purple background against the wall, and then the nice chocolate looking floor tiles as well. I think this part looks amazing, and I have no complaints here at all. It looks great. I wish we did get this in the final game. Next up here, we actually get our first look at the E3 2010 question mark block. There's actually a couple of differences from this question mark block to what we got in the final game that I actually missed on my first couple of times watching this trailer. Once Mario hits this block, you can see the top part of the question mark block actually open up like a lid, and that's where the actual sticker is going to come out, which is a multi-bounce. But one thing that I don't think a lot of people actually picked up on is that the question marks from the question mark block, 3 little question marks actually fall out of it onto the ground too when you hit it, which I think is very, very neat. As you can see here, when you actually hit the question mark block in this version of the game, the sticker actually flips forward and forward and forward until it hits the ground. Unlike in the final game where you hit it and the sticker comes out and it sways side to side and then landing straight up for you to collect, which was a very interesting difference that I don't think a lot of people actually picked up on either. And then we get to see that multi-bounce item actually be used in the next fight here against a couple of Goombas. And this is where we actually get our first real look, besides a couple of images before, like I said earlier, of the actual battle stage. As you can see here, there's the actual postage stamp outline, which I think was super cool, which actually is kind of in the final game, but it doesn't look this good, honestly. I think the colors with the blue and that kind of like apricot coloring just works so well together. And then you can actually see the curtains too, which is very reminiscent of TTYD, which I think is amazing. The big canyon rock backgrounds with the green shrubs and the gate and the rocks too, with the checkered board, floor, I think works so well, and I love the contrast of colors here. Everything looks great. One thing I do want to say though is that when you're actually using an item, it looks super huge on the screen. It looks like it's going to take up like half of the left side of your screen whenever you're using an item, so I don't know how that was going to work at all. And then when the multi-bounce item is actually being used, you can see the sticker actually being peeled onto the page instead of Paper Mario Sticker Star in the final version of the game, where the sticker is being put on, and then once you actually use the item, it being peeled off. In this E3 2010 version, it actually goes into like Mario's, I don't know, pocket or something like that, and then that's when the action is actually being used. And then as you can see here, which we have seen before, Mario appears to actually have a chain chomp buddy of some sort, which is following him in this battle. The only time that we've actually seen it before now was actually 15 years ago, back when Nintendo World Report actually showed off the chain chomp being lunged at a couple of blocks. So to actually see it in battle and see how it's actually going to behave jumping around too, I think is an amazing detail that we actually finally get to see for once. We then cut to Mario still fighting with a chain chomp, fighting a couple of Spinies. Mario tries to jump on them, but of course, since they have spikes on them and Mario's jumping, Mario ends up getting hurt. We see the characters in this dark blue cave/dungeon type area with a single torch, and we got 2 windows in the background too. We still have that checkered pattern on the ground, but now it's actually blue compared to the white that we saw earlier. And then we actually see a ceiling that is purple. So I'm thinking here that, they still had ceilings in the game, so that wasn't a mechanic that was going to get cut. And I think what was going to happen here is that the Spinies were still going to go on the ceilings and fall down and attack Mario, which is actually very reminiscent of 1-4, Hither Thither Hill, where we actually had Buzzy Beetles actually fall down and hit Mario, which is a very cool contrast. So I think that this level right here actually ended up getting turned to 1-4 Hither Thither Hill, where we had the Buzzy Beetles instead of the Spinies, which is super cool that it seems that some elements here from this initial E3 2010 trailer actually ended up maybe getting converted or changed for the final build of the game of Paper Mario Sticker Star in 2012. We then cut to Mario and the Chain Chomp fighting a Paratroopa and a Koopa Troopa, one hitting Mario for another swooping attack that deals another 2 damage. It seems like there's a bunch of 2 damages. Mario's dealing 2 damage, the Paratroopa is dealing 2 damage, the Spinies dealing 2 damage, and something that I actually saw in a couple of comments online is that the Paratroopas and the Koopas actually seem to be a mix of Paper Mario 64 Koopa Troopas and Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door Koopa Troopas, and honestly, I kind of do see it, and if that was the intention, then I think that is an amazing idea for a design. design, taking two areas of Paper Mario and mashing them together to make something completely new, but also old at the same time, I think is absolutely amazing. We then cut to Mario and the Chain Chomp, who appear to be in the exact same fight as they were before. Mario actually does bring out his iconic hammer for the first time, smacking away those enemies on top of their heads. And actually with Mario fighting these three Spinies in this one clip over here, we can see that like the ceiling, you can actually see all of it around. It looks like there's actually two layers. One layer kind of poking up, then there's like a little separate layer too that's like more so of the base of the actual stage that they're actually fighting on as well. In Paper Mario Superstar, the actual final version of the game that we did get, it is possible to get up to 3 turns. Now, I'm not going to go into the roulette system, but in this E3 2010 trailer, we can see Mario use up to 2 turns at once, and then we also do get to see the Chain Chomp attack, but it's not clear or not if, you know, the Chain Chomp can attack while Mario's also attacking at the same time, or if they have to take turns, but there's nothing showing that he can use 3 items at once. He does use a multi-bounce to hit 2 of the Goombas, and then the Koopa Troopa, which didn't actually get KO'd, and then Mario actually finishes off the Koopa Troopa after it flips back on its shell, and then uses a hammer. Now, one thing that I did actually want to point out is that whether it's the diamonds on the walls in the background, or if it's the checker pattern on the floor, or even on the sticker here that you can see on the multi-bounce, there is a diamond design on them. And I was wondering if this was the earliest implication of shiny stickers that we ever got to see. Because in Paper Mario Superstar, in the final version of the game that we did get, you know, the stickers look a little bit different, indicate that they're more powerful. So I was wondering if this happens to be like maybe one of the earliest looks possibly of a shiny sticker, or like a mega flashy sticker, or something that would end up becoming what we actually did get later on. And if you do look at the high rarity of stickers, they all have patterns on them that indicate that they are stronger. So I'm just wondering, this can't be a stretch at all. If there was a normal multi-bounce sticker earlier that we saw, and then this one just happens to have a pattern on it, this has to be a stronger version of that item that we already saw earlier. We then cut to Wiggler, which we actually do see in Paper Mario Superstar, except this time we see Wiggler with 9 segments compared to the 4 that we see in the final version of the game, which he then loses a single segment once he becomes a winged Wiggler, which I always thought to be super, super funny and weird as a kid. Like, why did he lose a segment? That doesn't make any sense. And we actually see Wiggler as like a kind of stage hazard, I guess, but nothing that really harms you in general. And I think in this segment too, with Wiggler and all of this poison that Mario is obviously not touching, I think is actually the very earliest version that we get to see of World 3. Or maybe World 3 was actually implemented into World 1, where we initially see Mario at the start of the game, since he is still in a forest type area. But if we just compare this version of World 3 to what we actually did get in the final game, they actually look pretty similar. I think the only real main differences slash takeaways for the world or level itself is that, of course, the art style is completely different. The one that we got in Paper Mario Superstar actually happens to be a little bit darker. Everything's a little bit more harder to see. It's a little bit more misty and stuff like that. And then we even see this Wiggler go into one tree stump and come out of the other and block Mario immediately right after anyways, which that looked, that would probably make me really mad as a kid, but I don't know about now. It seems really funny, actually. Now we see Mario hit 3 blocks and actually encounter a Womp and have to move back so he doesn't get squished by it. And I'm kind of disappointed how we get to see the Womp be utilized more in this E3 2010 trailer compared to just being a single pawn for Bowser to use in his final boss fight when the game's already basically over. Also, another detail is that the Womp actually has a more blue color compared to what we see in the final game, where he has that more stone gray color. Also, another difference is that in the E3 2010 version, his eyes are actually off-centered, while in the game they actually are centered together to be level. This area where Mario is actually avoiding the Womp at actually seems to be where Mario and that Chain Chomp were actually fighting the Spinies. It seems to be the exact same area, except we see a couple of broken pillars, but other than that, everything looks exactly the same. We then see Mario use that iconic lunging attack with the Chain Chomp to actually destroy all 3 blocks in a row, which is the main thing that made Paper Mario fans really, really mad when they saw this trailer all those years ago, and talking about how they got robbed of something that was truly good. And this attack right here actually does look really, really sick. I love this part of the trailer of Mario actually throwing out the Chain Chomp. And man, I just love Mario having partners. I just think it's a really cool thing in Paper Mario games that sadly isn't really that much of a mainstay anymore. We then get our earliest look of paperizing, which is, you know, of course the mechanic where Mario actually has to take stickers and look at it from like a top-down view and place stickers down onto the world to actually, you know, interact with the environment so you can progress further. As you can see here, this is obviously a very rough and early build of it entirely compared to what we got in the final game. This right here does not look as good as what we actually did get in the final game. I think the way how they handled it with Kirsty like dragging you and you like going down like a claw machine and, you know, flattening it out and everything like that looks way better than what we got in this game. It also looks like here Mario's leaving this forest to go to a new kind of terrain, maybe like a desert area or more like a murky, rocky type area, because we see a lot more rocks and we see more of that green forest actually getting left behind. We then see Mario use his hammer to hit a blue switch, and that actually makes the background react and actually go further back into the level to actually create a door for him to go inside of, which I think was really, really cool. I don't know how this would have worked with the 3D, but I bet that part would have looked amazing on the 3DS. We then see Mario in possibly another cave or a catacomb of some kind, but except this time it's purple and it has like stars on the ground. So it kind of makes me think, like, did Mario go into space? Like, what kind of area could this even possibly be? We see more rocks and crystals as well too, so I'm kind of wondering what the theming of this area could have possibly been, because I think a world in Paper Mario Sticker Star with this kind of theming would have been amazing, considering they also kept the worlds in this game kind of simple too. And I'm actually really curious what part of the game that this could have taken place in, because as you can see here, Mario no longer has that chain chomp buddy at all. They seem to be completely missing now, and I wonder where they went. Same thing with the last clip as well. The chain chomp disappeared. They're no longer to be seen, even though we did see them in that cave or dungeon type area with Mario before. And this right here is actually my personal favorite part of this entire trailer. I think when Mario jumps on this fishbone and this fishbone turns into multiple fishbone is actually the very earliest look that we have of stacks in Paper Mario. And if you guys don't know what stacking is when there's a single enemy that has multiple layers or rows that actually kind of makes it like multiple enemies but one enemy at the same time. It's super hard to explain, but I think that this earliest version right here is actually very, very reminiscent or similar to Boo stacking that we see in the Enigma Mansion, which I think is absolutely insane. I wonder how he would have even fought all of those fish bones as well. They went all over the screen. One was like basically near the ceiling, and then you have one like super close to the ground. They're like clipping into the ceiling and the wall at the exact same time. And then of course we see the Chain Chomp buddy actually come back with Mario once more to fight off all these fish bones. We actually see Mario in the Chain Chomp once again fighting a King Monty Mole. We can see him with his nice light purple design, its luxurious white mustache and beard, and its nice golden crown that is also a type of red and purple as well. Once he actually chucks this rock at Mario, which he deals for 5 damage compared to the 2 that we've been seeing all over the trailer, you can see that the rock actually ends up diverting towards the camera for more of that 3DS charm to really kick in, because I bet if you turned up that 3DS slider, then that rock was gonna look like it was coming right at your face. Now, even though we're still in the forest, this stage for some reason actually looks different, and my guess is it's because that this was actually going to be the first boss fight of the game. We can see a polka dot design in the back as well too. We can see 2 trees taking up a majority of the background as well for this stage, and we can also see that there's a couple of mushrooms and fences as well. And I just think it's really nice looking in general. Now in these next set of clips, we can see that our Chain Chomp buddy was actually a powerhouse, dealing a whopping 4 damage to all the Spinies and one-shotting all of them, which I think is absolutely crazy. Now, I could be wrong about this, but this desert world actually seems to be very, very different from what we actually did end up getting in the final game. This seems to be more of a generic desert type level than what we actually did end up getting in the final game of Paper Mario Sticker Star. So if I were to actually compare this version to what we actually got in Paper Mario Sticker Star, I think that Sticker Star actually did a better job than this early version of the game too, with the big pyramids and more of the blue sky and the clouds taking up the environment. I think it worked a lot better, even though I don't think that this one is bad at all. We do kind of see that blue dot pattern still in the background once more again, so maybe I was wrong about it being only for boss fights, but for some reason it's still here once more. We also see a bunch of these desert bushes as well too, and they also look amazing as well. We then see Mario jump on this King Monty Mole 5 times with, I don't even know how, maybe it's normal boots, or maybe the hop slipper sticker was actually in this early version of the game, allowing you to jump on an enemy multiple times. We then see Mario hit him with a hammer before we cut to the next clip of him running through a nice luscious green plain. We then see the title Paper Mario with the R being backwards and then it being peeled off so it's in the right direction, and that is sadly the end of the Paper Mario preview. Also, one thing I did want to mention, these videos were all in the 3DS, but even though that they were, there was no bottom video at all, so it didn't show anything else extra. There was only a top video, no bottom video, so until maybe a possible build of it leaks online, but I hope that day comes soon someday. If you guys enjoyed this video of me breaking down the Paper Mario 2010 E3 trailer, then leave a like down below. If you didn't, don't leave a like. Hopefully I'll earn it someday. I want to know all your guys' thoughts down below. What did you guys think of this early build of Paper Mario Sticker Star? Do you think that it was good? Do you think that it was bad? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you glad that some things didn't get carried over? Do you wish that some things did get carried over? Leave all your thoughts and comments and questions down below because I would love to have a conversation about this. This has been Super Cafe, and I'll see you boys in the next one. Peace.